Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Kayla Marie and I make topic videos, spirituality videos, or whatever you want to call it. And y'all, today I am out in my home. I'm out in nature. I'm at the lake right now and it's pretty windy, so I'm so sorry if the sound is not giving what it needs to give. It is very windy, but the sun is out. Okay, the birds are chirping. I'm feeling good. And you already know I'm getting right into it. Today's message is it's coming up to come out. And I've heard this before, so this ain't nothing new. But I wanted to give you all a little spin on it because this message was specifically channeled when I was feeling not too hot. Okay, after the Libra full moon, y'all, that moon tore me up. I'm not even gonna lie. I realized a lot of things about myself, about my childhood, about how things are impacting me today, present moment. So I thought I would share a revelation that I ended up having through that. And hopefully it can help you if you are feeling that way, or if you just need an encouraging word. Come here, sit down, get this love, get this encouragement, get this message, this wisdom, okay? So let's get into it. So the symbol that I channeled was a lotus flower. Lotus flowers can grow in murky water, okay? They come up in a pond and they can grow through murky water. All they need is the sunlight. The beauty of a lotus flower is how resilient do you have to be as a plant to be able to grow through waters that are not clear. I feel as though there's a lot of times in life that things are just not made clear to us at all, but we make it out on the other side. And so I feel like lotus flowers are very symbolic of resilience. They're very symbolic of resurrection, for sure, transformation, birth, rebirth, vitality. What I realized when it comes to spiritual, emotional, or mental breakdowns, y'all, I'm a very emotional person. And my mental health ain't always been up to par. Let me just say that. I'm gonna leave it there. When it comes to having these breakdowns, or when you are reliving or rethinking, you know, uncomfortable circumstances that you've endured, when that is happening, almost every time, at least I can speak for me. Maybe that ain't the case for you, but when I speak for me, almost every time that I've had a resurgence of past moments or past feelings that I conquered, that I've gone through, and it's coming back up, I'm always closer to new, like a fresh perspective, or a new consciousness, or an awakening, I guess, if you could say. You can only feel something so many times before you start to like really dig deep at it. You find out a new way to think about something after you've thought about it so many times. And I guess that has a part of the new consciousness or the awakening portion of it, because you can only think about something, relive something, or feel something so many times before you altogether are just like, wait, what am I missing in this? And when you can find that little piece of what you might be missing, or when you can just even find a way to shift your perspective or change the narrative for once, it's almost like a new brain pathway opens up. I guess in a way it's kind of that closure. I've thought about it so many times this way. Here's a new way. And it opens up your mind, and it opens up your heart, and it allows you to truly let something go, or to truly, even if you're not letting it go, to integrate that new perspective, that new awareness that you've brought to it. I want you to know that when it feels like everything around you is crumbling, you feel like you've taken steps back because you like, dang, like I thought I got past this. What is this? I know I'm not the only one that's been there, like, dang, like why am I really crying about the fact that I literally slipped and fell when I was 3 years old? You know what I mean? Like, especially as you get older, you start to really, like, stuff will randomly come up. I don't know if it's the prefrontal cortex developing still. I don't know what it is, but I will literally remember random things. And I'm like, dang, that is sad. You know, like that was sad. I've almost re-experienced certain things that I've been through, right? Anyway, that is very heavy. It's very emotional. You feel like you're losing it. But you're not taking steps back. You're making space for new. Because if you let certain things just sit and fester and you never find a new perspective on it, you never find that closure within it. You keep replaying over and over, right? You never really can conclude, what it is that you're feeling or thinking about or reliving. It's super windy. Sorry. Like, our ears. But that's when blockages are created, and when you don't release, when you don't rethink, when you don't find a new, and it's not something that you have to force either. You can't help it. I guess I want to challenge you to allow it to happen so that you can find what it is in it that does belong to you. It's not here in your present moment anymore. So it does not physically belong to you, but energetically, spiritually, there's something in that your spirit still might need to collect from that. Most of the time it is a lesson. The reason that it's coming up is so that it can come out. And whatever is coming out, that's up to you to deal with it or what to do with it, okay? Even if you don't find a new perspective or you don't find another lesson or whatever the case, you're feeling it so it can just be purged from your energetic field. Because when we go through things, that stuff is stored in our energy. It's stored in our body. There's been whole studies on that. The body keeps the score, okay, based on how trauma is stored in our bodies, how it's stored in our DNA, okay. Post-traumatic slave disorder, okay, if you know anything about those things, you know stuff can literally be stored in your DNA. Generational trauma, we've heard about it so many times. People, a lot of people in our generation are breaking generational curses. They are literally doing things that our ancestors would not have ever imagined they would ever be able to do, let alone their lineage, let alone their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren, whatever the case. We're doing things that they hoped and prayed that we could have done. When you take that into account and you realize not only do you have your things that you've gone through, your trauma, your experiences, but you also had your mothers, your grandmothers, your great-grandmothers, your granddaddy, your great-great-granddaddy. You have all these things, that have impacted who you are right now and that have made you who you are. So when those things come up, you're not taking steps backwards. You're doing the work. You're facing the hard, harsh work. It's called self-help, self-work, inner work for a reason. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. But I want you to know and understand that when you're feeling these things, when you're reliving these things, it's not gonna last. It's not here to punish you. It's not here to make you feel like you're going crazy. It's not here for you to feel like you're not healing. You are. So say when you get a little cut and you're bleeding out, you you gotta run it under some water, you gotta get your antiseptic, you gotta get your Neosporin, you gotta get your bandage. You gotta put your bandage on, right? But you gotta re-put your bandage on. You gotta re-put your Neosporin on. But you're not gonna think every time you're putting on Neosporin, like, dang, I gotta keep doing this. It's just a given, you have to put Neosporin on a cut that you got because that's the only way it will heal, right? It's the same when these feelings are coming up. That's the only way you will be able to purge them and heal them, by feeling it. So when you're going to change your bandage, it's not going to be a nuisance to you because you're going to know that's what needs to be done in order for your cut to heal. And you're going to go through that weird itchy phase, when it's scabbing over. You might have a scab for a little bit and then that might turn into a scar. And then when you see the scar, it'll remind you, the times that you had to put that Neosporin on, change the bandage, but you got through it and it healed properly and you did what you needed to do in order for it to be that scar. It didn't get infected. You didn't have to have a huge, bigger ordeal than it needed to be, right? And I know it's so cliche, but when you break down, it really is for a breakthrough. It's so true because when you want more or when you ask for more, whether it be from God, the universe, whatever the case, yourself, who knows, you might be looking at yourself in the mirror like, girl, we got to do better. Boy, we got to do better. Sir, ma'am, we got to do better. You have to make the space for it, and it's not always going to be sunshine, rainbows, ice cream, it might be painful. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I know. I get it. I know. But you're making space. So not only are you letting things come up so they can come out, but you're making space as they come out for what you're wanting, for what you're asking for what you really, really deserve at your core. You're aligning with more of what matches your core. Your core is love. Your core is peace. Your core is light. Your soul. When I say your core, I'm talking about your soul. Your soul is limitless. Your soul is abundant. Your soul has no bounds. Okay? When you can take all these layers off. This was a few months ago that I had this thought about my heart. Like if I close my eyes and think about my heart, I think of it as a room. And I think of all of the hard things that I've been through that have hurt my feelings, that have traumatized me, whatever the case. I think of it as like furniture in a room, right? But my heart is the room. You could think of it as the same thing as baggage. But I think of it as a big California king bed being stacked, being stuffed, like a big dresser come in and, you know, like, I don't know, like, that's what I think of it, like, as, like, all of the pain, like, I think of it, like, as this, like, room that's being cluttered, and every time I cry, or every time I feel, or every time I scream, or whatever, let it out in some way, I'm, like, slowly but surely moving out the California king, okay? I'm taking the vanity out. I'm taking the rug out. I really feel like I think in examples. But if you could just imagine your heart being a room, like how much furniture do you have in your room? Okay? How much space is being taken up in your heart? Is your heart open enough for you to receive what it is that you've been asking for? What it is that you know you deserve? What it is that you are at your core already? Because your heart is still, at its core, your heart is still that room. The furniture is the thing that does not belong. So, another thing, I guess another example that I kind of channeled was the Tower in tarot. This is the card. Hopefully it's not blurry. Hopefully y'all can see that. This is the card. This is the Tower card in tarot. And I have my tarot handbook right here. So my phone literally died in the middle of me recording in a different setting, but I'm going to finish what I was going to say because it was really important and it aligned with the message perfect. Okay, and let me preface this by saying, actually, I'm not going to preface it by saying anything. If you don't care for tarot, then you know what to do. Here's the card. I don't think it's going to focus. Upon looking at it first, a lot of people get scared and they're like, oh my God, this is destructive, you know, and it is pretty destructive. There's a person, there's people falling out of it, it's on fire. But the Tower is all about things crumbling so they can be made anew. It's a symbol of like almost rebirth. It's a symbol of change. It's a symbol of new perspectives, enlightenment, because at the top of the Tower, even though it's on fire and people are falling out and it's crumbling, there's a crown. I'm going to just read from the handbook what it actually exactly means because y'all, it resonates so well. The Tower is a symbol of the universal principle of healing, renovation, and restoration. Because this card looks so violent, it has often been misinterpreted. The Tower is a symbol of the change and awakening that is required to dismantle that which is artificial, false to fact, or conditioned within our natures. The Oriental fire-eating dragon is the spiritual fire or life force that requires that we dismantle and restructure old forms within our personality, the Tower, so that which is actual and true within our nature can be restored and expressed. Whatever is crystallized or not truly a part of our nature is burned or thrown out of our personality, which is symbolized by the Tower. So our personality is supposed to be symbolized by the Tower in the card. It is crumbling down, therefore dismantling, like it says, dismantling old things to bring in the new. Okay, period. Okay, it says the four figures flying in the air are representative of old mental, emotional, intuitive, and physical ways of expressing oneself that are outmoded and are no longer a part of the authentic or essential self. The Eye of Horus, the opened and radiant eye at the top of the card. So the version that I have doesn't have an eye, but on the traditional decks, most of the time it'll have, I believe it has an eye. This one has a crown on the top, so I would say that's probably similar. Anyway, so it says the Eye of Horus, the opened and radiant eye at the top of the card, is an Egyptian symbol for the god of perception. It represents the state of awakening and of seeing the deeper and authentic aspects of self. Once we begin to awaken, we are required to come into alignment with the greater being of who we are, which is symbolized by the Oriental fire-breathing dragon. Simultaneously, this process is one of restructuring old, and we talked about that last week, y'all. It's a process. Okay, y'all gotta go through it. We gotta go through a whole process when it comes to this healing. Okay, so anyway, it says it's a process that is similar to that of a snake shedding an old skin. Okay, yes. I'm sorry, I'm feeling this so much. It's so aligned. I'm so glad I thought about this because it's so aligned and I love this description of the card. Anyway, in order to express more fully its new and expanded nature, the Egyptian snake with a halo reminds us that as we expand our consciousness, the halo, we are required to shed outgrown parts of ourselves like the snake when it sheds its skin. Okay, so it says the dove with the olive twig is a symbol of inner peace that comes when we return to the essential and authentic aspects of who we are. I was just telling y'all that, like when you get back to the core, when you empty out your room of your heart, get into it, okay? The room that is your heart, when you empty it out, you get into the authentic part of who you are. Okay, it says the symbol reminds us that during times of inner and outer restoration processes, it is important to remember the line from Desiderata. Be gentle with yourself. And I love that they call it a restoration process because like I said, y'all, when these things are coming up, when they're coming up to come out, they're going to be restored. So you might feel like, oh, I'm losing all these things. I'm having to go through all of these things. I'm having to feel all these things. What is going on? But understand it's going to be restored, okay? Whatever you give, you get back tenfold. Whatever you've endured is not in vain. Point blank, period. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care, okay? Please know that you're going through a restoration process. And I'm going to say that for the rest of the video. I like that. You are going through a restoration process, and it's a process, okay? But know that you too are like the lotus flower that can grow through murky waters and can be reborn and can live free of attachments, free of the things that you've endured, free of the ideas that don't serve you. Okay, the thought patterns that don't serve you, the feelings that no longer serve you towards, whether it be from past situations or now or things that are going on outside of you, let it go. Just let it go. Give it to God. If you believe in God, lay your burdens to rest. Even if you don't believe in anything, just scream, release, cry, and let it out because it's coming up so that it can come out. And when it comes out, you will be restored. You will be able to be anew. Okay? But please remember, and I said this in the last video, but please don't forget that you are the pure embodiment of love, of grace, of kindness, of light, of compassion. And whatever you are shedding, whatever you are worrying or stressing about, is not who you are at your core. That does not reflect who you really are. Come back to who you really are. Like it said that, y'all, your authentic self is love. Your authentic self is peace. Your authentic self is limitless. It's boundless. Come back to that knowing. Come back to the truth of who you are when you're overwhelmed, when you're stressed, when you're worried, when you're sad, when you are feeling defeated, hopeless, whatever the case may be. Please, please, please just try to remember that you're getting to the root. You're getting to the core of who you are by releasing these things, and you're shedding an old skin like a snake. I love that example. You just shedding your skin. Okay, it's a little itchy, it's a little uncomfortable, but once you finally just get it all off of you, you'll be anew. You'll be born again. It'll feel like you're born again, okay? Baptized vibes. Okay, and I just want you to remember that. So please, please, please know that it's coming up to come out. Thank you so much for watching this video. I love you. I wish you so much peace, so much happiness, so much joy, and patience with your process. Okay, I will see you in the next video. Bye. Mwah.